Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2026 Bulldog Invitational, the first quad meet of this season here in Nashville Fairgrounds Expo Center. I am your host, Andrea Maldonado, and I have the pleasure to be joined by Paris McGee. Let's get the show on the road. Hi, Paris. How are you today?
I am excited to be here and see some awesome gymnastics. Getting things underway for Centenary. She's moving through very well through this uneven bar routine, one of my favorite events to watch in women's college gymnastics. Swinging big, huge, full twisting, double tuck dismount, small step on that landing forward, but that was a great routine for Centenary to start out with.
Mind you, Centenary has not had their first meet of the year, so this is their open to the 2026 season.
As you can see on your screens, all four events are happening simultaneously. One of the most beautiful things about quad meet is that you get so much gymnastics action all at once.
Can you tell me about the dynamics of having four teams going at the same time?
When you're competing in these type of competitions and everything is happening all at once, it does give that championship type of feel. At big competitions, big championships, all of the action is happening at the same time, which makes it even a little harder to focus on that one event that you're competing on. But this is the beauty about having these type of competitions early in the season, is that as the season progresses and you get closer to championships, you already know how to deal with that type of pressure.
Especially these seasons that move so quickly. These gymnasts have, like, I think 13 competitions in the rest of the season.
That was a great balance beam dismount for Wilberforce, who was starting their first rotation on the beam. On the floor, you have Greenville, and on the vault, you have Fisk. Andrea, you were quite the diva on the floor exercise during your college gym days. What is something that the judges look forward to when it comes to the gymnast performing on the floor exercise?
They are looking for artistry, showmanship. You're having to deal with obviously the explosiveness of your passes and stuff like that, but they're looking for you to put on a show pretty much. I am happy to see over there in the bars athletes doing gangers. That was my release of choice, and I think it's very nice to see athletes dominate this release move on bars.
Bars is one of the events where you will see a little bit more of the athletes' favoritism in terms of difficulty. It's probably one of the more events where you won't see some of the same skills over and over again, like you might see on the vault or as you may see on the floor exercise sometimes with the passes. With uneven bars, it really does kind of show the gymnast's ability to really showcase their own individuality.
These are the moments where everything stops and everyone is like the tension really builds. I remember I remember having these issues whenever it was my turn and nobody else was going and the arena was silent. And that's when the crowd of your own team, you start making so much noise that it's one moment where I think it gives a lot of momentum to everybody else.
Over on the vault, you saw a slight short landing on that Yurchenko full. Luckily, the team will be able to drop that score as they will only take the top scores and will be able to drop the lowest score on each apparatus.
Someone who's Caribbean, these Latino themed floor musics are so entertaining to me, especially when the athlete can dance like she can. I think it's very cool.
For exercise, it can be one of the best events to start your competition off of. You're able to go out there, have fun, really perform, and just kind of let loose, which is something that you can't do on some of the other apparatuses like the balance beam.
That's right. Which, out of curiosity, I want to ask you how, because you were a gymnast, how is it for maybe on the men's side, because you don't have dance, it's not necessarily a shorter routine, it's a 6-pass routine. How do you let loose on floor? What's that event for you guys?
I didn't mind starting off on floor. It's one of my strongest events. You just had to take that deep breath, and as soon as you start running, the adrenaline kicks in, and you're able to just kind of let loose in the same way you do on the women's side. So I will say the worst event to start off of was the pommel horse, which is equivalent to the women's balance beam. Definitely wasn't the
Yeah,
best to start off of.
I've heard. I think that's a common theme across the board.
Speaking of the balance beam, that was a strong start with that acro series.
Back to this. Yeah, yeah, she's got good control of her routine. She's enjoying it. She has a good pace. I think that's part of beam, if you will, having a good pace. If you take too long, you're going to throw yourself off. If you go too fast, you're going to land off the beam. And you're not going to be able to troubleshoot when you are potentially about to make a mistake.
And a strong dismount over on balance beam for Wilberforce. She did have a small balance check where she did touch the beam. That will be a deduction. But nonetheless, the balance beam is not the easiest event to start off of. And she did showcase some very, very good great gymnastics on that routine.
I think my favorite part about athletes that compete beam, I was not a part of this crowd back in my day, but it's when athletes are able to enjoy and be confident on the beam, like you see them smiling and you see them kind of like truly dancing through the choreography rather than striking poses. That does give a level of confidence and perspective to the judge also, because you also want to think about what the judge is about to say and write for your score. So
That was a good vault from Fisk. A nice Yurchenko full, great pride position. She did step to the side, but nonetheless, that was the vault that Fisk needed from Kennedy Johnson.
I will say something really quickly. Whenever athletes are able to save a potentially very dangerous fall on floor or events like vault, that you're able to safeguard your own self with like good reflexes, if you will, I think that's very impressive and worthy of note.
Absolutely, and to be able to maintain that focus throughout the routine, knowing you still have more gymnastics left, that's such a big mental block and one that she definitely was able to
Hmm.
get over.
Yeah. Yeah, I think uh, see, again, back when I was doing gymnastics, I had a couple scary falls too, but I was like, I have no idea how I got myself out of that one, but I'm glad I did. And I think after a routine like that, you're just relieved that nothing bad happened and you're just able to shake it off and move on.
Ooh, and another good vault from Fisk. They seem to really be getting the ball rolling over on vault as we look over on the uneven bars. For Centenary, this is a good routine. Double tuck. Small step on that dismount, but that was a good routine from Centenary College on the bars.
We didn't get to cover this at the intro of the competition, but Centenary ended up the highest scoring after Fisk with a 192-175 at the end of their season. So if that tells you anything, is that these girls are able to score. They have good gymnastics, they have great depth and grit towards, as the season progresses, they get stronger and stronger and stronger. So I think these are very strong teams that we are seeing out in display today.
With Cincinnati actually even scored within the 195 range last season. So that definitely shows that they are capable of scoring within that range again this season. And again, we are early in the competition season. It is a long road ahead of us. So today's
Mm-hmm.
competition is really just getting back out there on the floor, trying to build that momentum, gain that confidence. So as we get closer to postseason championship season, the girls will be ready to rock it out on the floor.
Yes. It's getting confident. I think once you are practicing, preseason can seem very, very long. Pause. That was an incredible two and a
Yes,
half
on
over
the
there on the
floor.
floor. Wow.
Pretty big skill.
Mm-hmm. As I was saying, though, preseason can seem like an eternal period. And once you are on the show floor It's time to kind of put all your practice together, and it's all glued by a sprinkle of confidence. So I think you get to build that throughout the season, but the first time out, like Centenary is, I think they just need to trust on their work.
I love the team that you can hear in the back cheering on.
I do too, I
One of
was
the
about to say.
It was one of my favorite things of women's gymnastics, that we don't have on the men's side, is that camaraderie with the music and the cheering and the dancing. At
Really?
times it makes me want to go out there and have a dance party myself.
I guess that's a nuanced comment because I've always thought the boys, at least from my POV, the boys always had like the loudest arenas. Boys were always like rah-rah-rahing each other to the highest level. So I always admired how you guys had that sense of like extreme cheer.
Well, I mean, I guess, but we didn't have music to compete over. So I
That's
think
true.
that was the big thing, is that all you heard was our screaming voices.
Valid. You guys do some crazy stuff over there. Another pause. I think we're going to notice this as also one of the first few meets in the season that the judges are also trying to figure out how the tone of the season and this competition, for all that matters, is going to go. And so that can create some big lulls for the athletes. Beautiful double layout.
That was a strong finish for her and such a good comeback after that fall on the bars. So it looks like that Fisk is done on the vault. And Greenville actually may also be possibly be done over on the floor exercise, leaving only Centenary on the bars and Wilberforce on the balance beam left in the first rotation.
That's also something I was going to mention before when we were talking about the dynamic of a quad meet, is that it tends to move a lot faster because everybody is going at the same time. But just a quick pace. I love the front tucks. Even though she did end up missing it, I love to see front tucks on balance beam. I used to have one and got nasty bruises, but it's a very complex and interesting skill to do on the beam.
On the balance beam, in contrast to flipping backwards, how much harder is it to flip forwards
Oh
on the
man.
balance beam?
You also gotta, okay, let's put this in perspective. It's a 4-inch width event that does not have a lot of give, but whenever you do encounter a beam that has some rebound to it, I would say it's a lot easier to flip forward than it is backwards because you're able to use that rebound that the beam is giving you, like a spring sensation. So yeah, you just gotta have to learn how to manipulate and work with the event instead of trying to force your way through it. Which,
And I think, oh, I'm sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say, I stand corrected. It looks like we have another floor party from Greenville over on the floor exercise.
Yeah, on that note, her leap series, crazy flexibility display. And that is also that will give a lot of grace to the judges to give her an even better score towards the end of her routine. They want to see that 180 line met or even overextended.
on the bars. It looks like she shot that handstand just a little too much, and she has to restart.
Well, that is one of those falls that will make you honestly question everything and will make you like pray at the chalk box. But that is an extremely hard release, especially coming from a clear hip. She has so much speed going into it. We know she's capable of it. I think she just has to be a little bit more patient in order to not land on top of the bar and more so just being able to grab onto it. I was going to say that this first rotation has been one heck of an icebreaker for every team that has gone through their lineups. So I think moving on to the second rotation, this is going to be time for everybody to reset, regroup, and go back out there with a fresh sense of confidence, if you will.
And each and every one of these gymnasts out here, they have competition experience. They've been competing for nearly their whole lives. So the good thing is that they know how to bounce back from falls. They know how to continue momentum from great routines. And I think that's what we're going to see in this second rotation also.
I was going to ask you a question I don't think I've ever asked before. From a coach's perspective, or at least in your experience, if you guys ever had a rotation that wasn't what you were expecting, what was the pep talk dynamic with the coaches? How would the coaches encourage the athletes, or what is expected at least?
You know, you learn very quickly how to turn that page. When one event is done, it's done, you're on to the next. I would say the interesting thing is that a lot of times it will be different guys competing on different events. So sometimes you're speaking to guys who didn't necessarily perform those routines but had to watch it and now had to compete next. But it's all about turning that page. And, like I said, when you get to the college level, that means that you've been competing for nearly your whole life. So one thing that as gymnasts we learn how to do is how to bounce back from the good and the bad. And another big class from floor from a round off,
Mm-hmm.
that time a round off double tuck to finish the floor exercise. But just bouncing back, and it's
Yeah,
a skill that I think every gymnast has.
yeah, yeah. And I think also from the coach's perspective, you're trying to put aside potentially frustrations, and I think it's an across the board confidence and optimism that has to be built, you know? I believe now Greenville is done on floor, which takes me back to the same topic of conversation we were having just now. The rest of the routines from this lineup were exceptional, and they did have their mistakes, but I think they know their capabilities and they were able to show off for their teammates, and that was very impressive to watch.
Small balance error on the balance beam, but that was a beautiful front toss. One thing I can say is that we have been seeing some really great skills over on the balance beam. Another front toss to back handspring step out. Oh, and she just loses balance and comes off the beam.
That is something from beam specifically, is that you can have several. Now that you say that she had two front tosses, you can have the same skill in different combinations and that still occurred to the right points for your starting value requirements.
Interesting. I was actually going to ask about the repetition of skills and if you are allowed to repeat a skill, maybe in a different
Yes.
combo, and still receive points.
Yes. Yeah. So, for example, you can have, let's even take it to the back handsprings. You can have a leap to a back handspring and that be, I think it's an acro series or a dancing series, and then you can have a back handspring to back layout and that be your acro series. And you had two skills that are the same, put in two different combinations. However, the skills that you cannot repeat, at least from the same family, if you will, so you can't have two Jurchenkos or two Suks, it's on vault. If you're going to compete two different vaults, you have to compete precisely, you have to be fully different in a different direction. I believe they only have one athlete left on the bars. But so far, Fisk is done with her first rotation with a 45.025, Centenary with a 43, well, so far, 43.350, and Greenville with a 46.825, I believe that is.
So for you, Andre, what were some of the things that you wanted to achieve in your first competition coming out? Again, this is Centenary's first time of the season, getting things underway. So what is something that they're just going to be looking forward to doing?
Honestly, what they have been doing so far, this is the space, contrary to what a lot of coaches argue, the first competition is not supposed to be perfect. So in my experience, I always looked for the things I can grow on and tweak and passes that I could potentially change, or the ways in which I could mix and switch my routines in different events. I was looking for simple things like how tired I got through the meet, how much water do I have to drink, how cold I typically get throughout a competition. Those are all things that are going to help you as an individual be more prepared for your next meet. And as a team, you're just looking for the things that could potentially make you better in terms of positioning. So which athlete does better in which order, what series of events favors us, so starting in an event compared to another, and how that plays out for different competitions to come.
I have to say this. I don't know whose playlist is playing in the background at that competition,
It's gold.
but it is some pretty
So
darn
good.
good music.
I was about to say, we have our event summary here, you guys. So like I was mentioning earlier, Fisk ended up with their first rotation with a 47.025, Centenary with a still developing score. I don't have the Wilberforce scores yet, but Greenville ended up with a 46.925. I thought that was an 8 on the screen earlier. I apologize for that. But in that note, Fisk and Greenville are at each other's heels. I think Fisk had a little bit of trouble on vault. However, they did have 9-9 start value vaults, so they had a bigger wiggle room to play from. And Greenville decided to have probably the best floor routines they have gotten so far in the season. I mean, a beautiful, stunning 2.5 we saw earlier from this young lady in Greenville, and then just solid routines with good performances and a lot of grit. So, what do you think, Paris?
Yeah, I definitely think that we saw some great gymnastics. Greenville is going to move to the vault, which can be a higher scoring event. It is a little easier to execute a vault compared to an entire floor routine. So going into vault, Greenville can potentially close the small gap that Fisk has on them as Fisk moves on to the uneven bars, which again can be some sort of a tricky event in terms of execution and achieving really high scores.
Yeah, on bars and beam, I would agree or argue at least that it comes down to the really itty bitty things like hitting a handstand or pointing your toes or how many balance checks you have, how many, I believe that walking on the bar from like a blind change or an eagle change or like any type of balance checks that you could possibly have on the bars are also deductions. So it just gets to that point where it's like, okay, we're looking for the teeny tiny things. Are their feet together? Are they like having good rhythm? The landings. So that's going to be part of the challenge for everybody in these two events. And I'm going to echo what Paris was saying earlier. I wish you guys could see me at the moment. I'm like kind of really jamming to this playlist that they have going on in this competition. I've been like
Yes,
bouncing off all
they
day long.
definitely have a good playlist going on.
Okay, I just spotted a front, and I don't know how to. I'm probably gonna butcher that dismount, but it's almost like a front toss dismount, and I'm
Yeah, like
pretty
that.
sure she's
Yeah,
going to twist out of that. So I'm looking forward to that beam routine. Centenary does historically have really good beam athletes, um, so this will be exciting.
over on the bars, I know Fisk does have some great bar workers, so that's definitely going to be a highlight to look for as we head into the second rotation. Wilberforce will look to turn things from the balance beam on the floor exercise. And then again, Greenville, they will look to close that small gap that Fisk has on them as they prepare for their second rotation on the vault.
I was going to ask you maybe, because we are definitely harping on the scores, but can you tell me what that feels like when you know you have a small gap between one team or another? And how do you deal with that as an athlete? Like, how do you hype yourself up to not overdo it or underdo it?
I tell gymnasts all the time that are still competing at the college level, at the high school level, in the junior Olympic program, do exactly in competition what you do in the gym. You guys train relentlessly in the gym every single day. You know what you're capable of. So just translate that into competition. Don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. Just do the routines that you do in the gym and competition. And if you can do that, I mean, the sky isn't even the limit because beyond the sky are moons and stars and what I believe to be a heaven. So just go out there and have fun. Do the routines that you know that you're capable of doing, and don't let the scores, don't let the judges, don't let anything overtake your mind. Gymnastics is such a mental sport. You know, if
Mm-hmm.
you can convince your mind of something, you can convince your body to do something. And I
Yeah.
think that gymnastics is the example of that theology right there.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And that I have something to echo what you just said. I was reading on an article recently that said that biologically, excitement and fear have no difference. It's the same feeling. It's all a
Yep.
perspective. It's all a POV of how you process that in your brain. And I think that just speaks to how gymnastics is an adrenaline dump. And so you are constantly on go, 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 go. And once you learn how to use your adrenaline to your advantage, you're golden. There's nothing can possibly break you because you can even use, okay, I'm a little bit fearful of this, but I am set on my work. I can do this. So that is, I wish, honestly, I wish as a gymnast I would have known what I just said. I did not know the difference between the two, and fear was very scary, and excitement was very, very, very like an extreme emotion. So, if there's my, if you could talk to your younger self, what would you say? Kind of situation. I believe we're ready to start here. I think up on vault, the first athlete was just ready to go and didn't. So that happens quite a bit in gymnastics. If you are not ready to go for your vault, do not touch the springboard or the vault, and you are free to repeat it. So that is just a note for the viewers, because that I don't think that happens a lot, but it does happen. She did a Souk layout, which kudos to her. I was never able to do that. It's very powerful, and I believe it's a 9-9 vault. I will say this. This is so funny to me. Whenever Virtius, for that matter, streams competitions, I love when people pause in front of the camera and either say hi or realize they're on camera and they're like, "Whoop!" So those are just funny moments that I like to look out for. It happens in every single competition.
Hey, listen, everyone deserves their 15 minutes of fame. So I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
Make all the cameos you guys want.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sure those watching at home loves the energy also.
Yes. Especially some athletes will like give shout outs, and I think those are really cool.
Oh, that was a
Beautiful.
yes. That was a beautiful Yurchenko full, nice twisting body in the air, great position.
10-0 vault, you guys. That's a 10-0 vault.
It looks like
No.
Greenville is trying to close that gap on Fisk.
Mm-hmm.
While over on the balance beam, it looks like the coach is having a little dance segment with her gymnast.
Yes. I was about to ask you, we were talking about pommel horse before. The hype on beam that some coaches provide for their athletes has to be studied for sure, because some athletes like to be talked to, other like to be danced. My sister would dance her little brain away, and I was wondering if you guys have that on the men's side.
No, everything is boring. No. No talks, it's just a pat on your shoulder and you and
No
your
pep
coach
talks.
has that. No pep talks. It's just, you better do this
Aw.
routine like you know how, and that's that's how we learn to get down.
Hey, boys need to do better on that front, please.
Yes. If there's any male gymnasts out there, any coaches watching, please let's start having dance parties.
Yes. So far, Centenary is holding their ground on beam. That's what we were looking for when we were looking at the warm-up.
Ooh, and a nice acro series, a triple acro series.
I was gonna do a quick mention of the vault that just happened. Had a half-on entrance. So she enters the vault, the springboard, like she would a Jurchenko with a round-off, and then she fully turns towards the vault, which I believe that gives her vault a 9-9 start value. Sorry. Can't speak today, guys.
Over on the floor exercise, the music is just as good as the playlist that we were hearing just a minute ago.
Yes. Yes.
This just might be my favorite floor routine of the night.
See, and I think across NCAA, athletes are getting more creative. I mean, you have the influence of somebody like Jordan Childs. Let's be real. These like floor choreos are getting better and better and better. The more I watch gymnastics, the more intricate it gets. And so that is something I really do appreciate whenever the athletes and the coaches take their time to do their research and truly figure out what benefits the athlete, what makes the athlete happy on the ground, you know? Like, it is part of you putting together a show.
And that was a great vault from Greenville. Another Yurchenko full twist. Great body position. Small hop on that landing. That's going to score very well.
I was going to say, her legs were glued together. She was like perfectly straight, like a pin on the air. From the takeoff, her elbows were pretty straight. So I'm hopeful for this, for her score on this vault is very, very good.
On an even bar, we've been having quite the wait from Fisk.
Yeah, those are never good. Here we go, though. We're looking for those handstands. Caught release, really good. Jaeger. Those bails, since they come from a connection, they do not have to be up to handstand. Still counts. She has her full connection.
Oh, and she just was a little short of that dismount. Nonetheless, that was a great swinging routine. She had the difficulty, big swings, nice release moves, and just a little short on that dismount.
I think those dismounts can be tricky because toe-ons are always a patience test. You always have to wait for the right time whenever your hips do come around at the right angle. So that will potentially give her the space for landing she needs in the future. Greenville had their first mistake here on vault. However, a very good vault altogether. I think they are rocking the Sooks, and those are just overall very, very hard vaults. You guys do not underestimate a Sook because it's an uphill battle every day.
And luckily, the team can still drop that score. Again, each team will drop the lowest score on every apparatus. So if Greenville does hit the vaults coming up after, they can luckily drop that score and it won't count towards the team's overall total score. Looks like we're also having another weight on the floor exercise.
Yeah. I was about to say that it's making me look bad when I said that quad meets move very quickly. However, I will mention this. Last year, we had an introduction to a different panel that oversees the judging, the judges that are on the ground. So that's to minimize discrepancies and potentially underscoring or overscoring in an athlete. And I think all of that has a role to play in this situation because you're trying to be as close together as you can on the table. Whoa, that was a huge front vault. That was insane. You could probably twist out of that.
That just might be one of the hardest vaults that we will see today in competition. Those vaults are not easy to do at all.
No.
It requires a huge amount of natural power in
Mm-hmm.
order to get a strong block and rotation off for that vault.
But she flew out of frame. That's how powerful she is. That was crazy.
Over on the bars for Fisk, small leg separation. But this again is another good routine. Strong handstand, beautiful open shoulders. Oh, and she just couldn't pull those toes over enough. She was moving so well throughout that bar routine.
I think this is also one of those effects when you have those lulls. You kind of get cold and you lose your own pace.
Yes.
Because we saw that on floor too. Floor had a big pause there between one athlete and the next, and she ended up missing her first pass, and I think she had to improvise on the second one. She didn't end up doing the entire skill. So this is what happens whenever you have either the discrepancies that can be resolved right away or the judges can't seem to land on common ground. Another front dismount for Fisk, which I think it's their specialty. We had a little pause there with Centenary on beam. But if you guys really do want to look at the scores, you can absolutely search those up in the Virtius page, and you will see all the scores that went down in this rotation while we didn't have a view for them.
Hey, Andre, I have a question.
I have an answer.
Who runs the world?
Do you really want me to answer that question?
I think they're trying to send us a strong sign
Yes.
to let us know who runs the world.
I think smart people run the world. I'm not. That's my bias.
I think it might be these gymnasts.
Yeah.
This music in the background and these big routines, I think they're trying to show us that they run the show.
I would be
And a
hyped
strong
up for
acro
sure.
series. You mentioned earlier that Centenary traditionally has a strong balance beam team, and I believe that we're seeing that today.
Yeah, I don't think we had a shot whenever there was a young lady in the warm up that had a front dismount that I was interested in seeing. I'm not sure if she already went for her routine, but yes, they really do have good stability and good skill sets.
If she hits this dismount on the bars, this would be a big routine for Fisk. A
Ooh.
small hop, but a beautiful sky high and double tuck dismount.
Yes, that's exactly exactly what you need after you have several mistakes and just not necessarily what you're looking for or hoping for, but that routine. That I'm sure she can twist out of that. That she had a lot of height out of that dismount. Prior to show, we were talking about whether we were twisters or, you know, flippers, like which one we preferred. I was always more of a twisting gal. Paris, not so much. But we're seeing a great variety of everything today, I think. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt.
So I wanted to mention that earlier we had an athlete touch the beam. I'm pretty sure that's an on beam higher deduction, and same goes for floor exercise. Whenever you touch the ground with your hands, you're going to have a potentially a bigger deduction than it would like a step out of bounds or a step in the wrong direction. Putting your hands on the equipment always counts. Like, it's not a full point or what they would usually take off for a legitimate fall, but it's pretty high up there. Impressive save, by the way, on beam. I really do love these choreographies. These are so fun. She missed her side aerial there, but we could argue that she was a little bit thrown off from her first leg. She was a little bit off balance going into it, so that explains why she did not make it to be over her hips on the landing. Oh, there is that beautiful dismount. There it is. She did awesome.
And that is an extremely difficult dismount to do. To get that rotation to flip forward and land on your feet is very difficult.
Her routine, I will say this, her routine was full of blind landing skills. So she, on her aerials, her front aerial, she has a blind landing, and she had a skill after that. So you have to make sure you're spotting the beam or while you have it. On her side aerial, it's another semi-blind landing, and then her dismount is fully up to God's grace at that point.
And a nice comeback for Fisk on the bars. That was a beautiful double tuck dismount.
We got to think about strategy here for a second. Let's talk about this like it were a chess game. When you have rotations, when you have undesired mistakes like this, and this is fully from like a third party perspective, you have to think about Fisk still has their better events, if you will, quote unquote, coming up. You have floor and you have beam. Historically, Fisk has also been very, very strong on beam, and I don't want to jinx them, but they have like really, really good beam routines, and they have a set of shows for floor. So, mind you, while they have had mistakes on this rotation, I am sure they will pull it together for the rest of the two events they have left. This is also a really good routine on floor. She had a little bit of a mistake on her first pass, but she is bouncing back very, very strong. Her leap series were very good. She had well over the 180 line, and her last pass was also a combination that gives her the requirements she needs to have that kind of punch on her last pass, because I believe for women's gymnastics you have to have either a combination of a punch salto in the last pass or a double flip, either backwards, well obviously backwards, that can be a double tuck, double pike, whatever you want.
A good finish for Centenary on the beam. She did have a fall, but she recovered very well. Over on the bars for Fisk, all she has left is her dismount. Squeezes tight for that handstand. And
Ooh,
a beautiful stuck dismount. That's going to score very well for Fisk.
that was beautiful. Like I said before, they have this specialty where they do toe on for their dismounts, and she is able to twist out of that, do a half, and stuck that landing. She was like a magnet bound to that mat.
And the way she fought for that handstand, because she did kind of overshadow, but she squeezed very tight over the top, held on to that handstand, was able to get that taunt in, and I mean, that dismount was beautiful.
Beautiful work, absolutely. I really do love, if there's something that I really love about college, is the hype over a stuck landing. I think it's underrated, if you will,
Yep.
because the feeling of sticking a landing and then just how it looks, it's perfect, it's stunning, and it's so clean, and I love it. Also, Wilberforce, I am so sorry I forget her name. My sister competed with this young lady over here on the floor going on right now. She is a gem. This girl is a junior, and she's a full-on powerhouse. She can dance, she can tumble. Her leap series, again, she has a mistake going on here. However, her first pass was stunning. She can, again, tumble, leap series. She has a good show, and she has fun. The best thing about her is that no matter what, she's one of those rare athletes that no matter what happens, she will have the best time on and off the floor.
And those are the type of athletes that you want on your team because they're contagious. Their energy is contagious, their spirit is contagious, and you want that in the good, the bad, the ugly. You just want someone who can be a light, and I know that she is that light for this team.
She definitely, like, as an individual also, when we got to, you know, meet her and have some time, quality time around her, she is a stellar human being. I really, really do hope this young lady has the best season yet. She deserves it. I believe this is the last athlete for Fisk on bars. If it's not the last, it's the second to last, for sure. So Paris, did you ever, if you notice here on bars, there's a young lady standing at the cable. Did y'all ever have the fear that you guys' bar was going to scoot out of the ground, because that's happened in women's gymnastics quite a few times, hence why you see the girls literally holding the bar onto the ground.
No, we never had that, and I thank God because the high
Thank God.
bars are very high.
Yes.
But when you have a gymnast as powerful as she is on the uneven bars, I understand why you might have someone hold the bars.
Yes. That was a beautiful Jaeger, straddled Jaeger. Nicely done.
That pirouette, she really took her time over the bar and just sat in that handstand position. One of the greatest things you can do for showmanship as a gymnast, though it is hard to do, is to have patience with your skill and really take your time. If you can execute that, I mean, man, it is one of the most greatest assets you can have as a gymnast.
Yes. Yes, I suffered from that curse. I was not very patient. And so, hence why I never competed bars in college. I would have loved to. I do admire all the athletes that go out in the bar and truly hold their ground, because that was one of not so great talents I had. And that was a stunning, stunning, stunning beam routine for Centenary. Took her time, like we were talking about, patient. She was patient on the beam, and she stuck that landing. And I think that wraps up the second rotation of this competition. I might have spoken too soon. I think there's one more athlete going on beam right now. They really are on fire with this playlist.
Yeah, they haven't played a bad song yet, so pretty impressed.
I think the person that is in charge of this playlist had to dig deep to find like clean versions, motivational music that is still like mainstream, but not necessarily like blowing the hats off, the parents in the situation. How about weird deductions? I will mention something really quick here. If you notice the two athletes that are next to the mat for her dismount, they're not able to stand on the stage mat, the thicker mat, where the beam is for too long, because that is a team deduction. And that is across the board for like vault. It happens on floor also. You can't have more than 2 mats on the ground, otherwise you're going to get a deduction. It's just weird tiny things that you can and can't do in women's gymnastics. Miss Murdoch here for Centenary. Just going to repeat that acro series. And she misses. However, let's highlight how difficult it is probably to start a back handspring from one leg.
Yeah, that
She
is
takes all the credit.
a very beautiful acro series, and very different also. That's not something you see all the time. Even as little as the back tuck she does, a lot of girls opt for that lateral step up, but she goes a step further and does a traditional back tuck, which I absolutely love.
I think that is something that we were discussing before the meet started, is how I personally appreciate a lot of variety in college gymnastics. I think everybody likes to play the safe card, which also congrats to Miss Murdoch. She had a solid ending to her routine, and I think that culminates the second rotation for this meet. But anyway, back to what I was saying. It's very interesting and very refreshing to see innovative skills like the front dismount, like this series, the gingers that I was mentioning earlier on, the 2.5 from Greenville. Those are skills that will stick in the mind of the judges and the audience, and people are going to come back and look for those next time. Looks like Fisk is going to move into the beam area. We have a little bit of a summary going on here. Fisk had a 43.875 on bars. Centenary ended up with a 45.6. Wilberforce with a 41.025. And Greenville, you guys, with a 47.225. You know what you were saying, Paris, earlier, closing that gap.
Yeah, Greenville definitely put up a very strong ball rotation and closed that gap pretty well. However, as you said, Fisk does move on to the balance beam where they can put up some really good scores. So it's going to be interesting to see how Fisk now bounces back.
I think that's something I really appreciate about quad meets in general. You have the element of surprise. It's not as predictable because it's not 2 or 3 teams going. You know, you have 4 teams that are on the same range, and one mistake or one good score can throw everything over into a different direction. So I think this is one of those meets that keeps you on the edge and engaged.
You know, with quad meets, you never really know who wins until the competition is over because the madness is just that crazy. 1 minute, you know, one team can be winning, and then next thing you know, another team now moves on to their stronger event, and it changes the whole dynamics of the competition.
Right. Usually, this is the part where everybody tightens their grip. You know, you have had 2 events to study where you're at and where you want to go from there. So I think this is where the athletes and the coaches are like, all right, you guys, game plan. Okay, this is what we're going to do. I will say, who's ever manager or athlete that is for Centenary, she has some sick moves. Love that.
You can definitely tell she's the team's hype man.
Yeah.
We all have one of those on the team. All.
Yeah. On personal experience, my sister was that young lady right there. Always dancing her little brain away. She was a great dancer. And it made it to the big screen in the arena several times. So whenever it was like a moment like this where we're warming up and we're kind of transitioning, there was my sister like jumping and bumping, and the camera guys would always put her up in the big screen. It was really funny. Kind of sidebar too. I really like the arena in which the girls are at. I thought it was very spacious. I don't like necessarily that it's concrete on the ground because it's cold. That will get really cold. But I do like the display in which they're at. I feel like it's a good environment.
It's a great open space. All right, you guys, I will toss us into a little break.
I believe the warm-ups are about to start, so we have 2 minutes worth of warm-ups, and we will be right back once action restarts. I believe that is the official announcement that warm-up time is over. And we officially are getting ready to start rotation 3, just like that. So I wanted to talk to you about something, Paris. I notice a lot of the coaches have little iPads where they are propping up a perfect view of every routine. That, for other sports, it's called film. And you kind of study, your previous routines, competitions, environments, all that stuff. Did you guys also do that?
Absolutely. And sometimes we even use that for discrepancies when it came to judges' scores. Sometimes the judge might not have seen something or may have timed a routine in a different timing than what we recorded. And so that's what we also use our recordings for, just in case if the judges thought the gymnast did one thing, well, we have on camera that they actually did something else. So it's very useful, not only for film to watch after the competition, but also it's very useful to watch and to use during the competition as well.
Right, so we have Greenville in bars. Believe Wilberforce is in vault. Fisk in beam. Beautiful entry, by the way. And Centenary on floor. For Greenville, she's restarting her routine. She had a mistake at the very start of her routine. I believe it was the kip cast handstand. So she does get to restart her routine. It just has to. She can't take a lot longer in the chalk box. She restarted it and did it like she intended to. No mistakes.
Oh, and a great dismount over on the balance beam for Fisk.
Like I said, they do pride themselves on having a good beam lineup. So I'm looking forward to this this build up that they're about to have here. But like I said before on for Wilberforce, Fisk is able to showcase so much flexibility on beam. They're all about the above the 180 kind of situation. And so with that mounts that we just saw, that is also like a wow factor for the judges.
That was a nice vault for a Centenary Yurchenko layout. One of the more simple vaults that we'll see in competition, but nonetheless a clean one at that.
I believe that's Wilberforce, but I'm also worried that she might have had a minor injury going into this landing. You see her kind of like hobbling a little bit, and I hope she's okay.
I stand corrected. That was Wilberforce. Oh, and that was a beautiful release on the bars from Greenville.
My mouth is wide open. I was not expecting that.
That is not a release move that you see every day. A huge double layout dismount. A little short on that landing, but man, that was quite the release move.
I believe that's a Comanche. Um,
Yes.
it's it's hard, you guys, because you come off with the bounce of the bar and you do what you would with a Jaeger, but it's basically like a standing back tuck only from your hands. If we're gonna pull it into like that kind of verbiage to try and explain it, it's hard. Good save for digs on beam. Diamond Cook, that was the athlete I was talking about on floor earlier, for Wilberforce, and now she just went on vault. She was a little bit high onto the vault, so that's why she did not necessarily have a lot of a block, but still a good vault. I kind of love this song. I'm really enjoying this. This meet has got to be the meet with the most pauses I've experienced this early into the season so far. Usually it's pretty go, 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 and maybe to the viewer this is just strange. It's not normal, you guys. This doesn't happen every meet. So I can only imagine how the athletes feel. It's like, hello?
Where do you think some of the pauses comes from when it comes to these judging pauses for the routines?
A lot of them have to do with requirements on if you, let's say you missed a pass on floor and this pass was a combined pass, you now have to figure out if this is going to devalue your start value or if you still hit the requirement. Mostly it's just requirements of the routine itself, but I don't know, even as an athlete, I never understood why this takes forever and a half.
And that was the gorgeous front toss on the balance beam from Fisk. They are really a great team on this event.
We haven't touched on it yet, but I will take a stab at it. Fisk is entering their last season as a program. So this is a moment in their season that even though there have been mistakes, the stakes are so high for them because they want to put on a good show, they want to enjoy the most, and they just want to put everything out there because their program is no longer going to be next season. So, I mean, overall, they're winners in my eyes so far. I can't possibly imagine what it would feel like to have a program not necessarily continue and you still have to perform. Great routine for Greenville in
Love the celebration.
Yes, she had a very, very unique. You see this in boys a lot, but it's this change that it goes like it's like a crossover. And she ended up with her hands in an eagle position. She did like a forward giant and kept her routine perfectly good. So those are just one of those skills that we were talking about earlier. Very unique, very excellently performed by this young lady.
Talking about the judges and the waiting game over on the balance beam, you can see the two judges meeting. So clearly there is some sort of disagreement that they have, whether they think a gymnast may have potentially missed an element or missed a required group in her routine.
Also, I was going to ask, now that I have a former male gymnast on this perspective, did you guys have the option to do less passes on floor, like you could do 4 instead of 6, or no? Because we have the option to have a 2-pass routine on floor, and I think some teams go with that safe option, and others still do 3 passes. But what was that like for you?
More than anything, it was requirements that we had to fulfill. Sometimes you can do less passes. Sometimes guys had to do more passes in order to fill requirements. But it was mostly really trying to get the most points that you can get. Sometimes you can cut out a pass by adding a twisting flip to an already flip. But for the most part, it was really trying to do as many less passes as you can possibly do. That just meant you had to connect a lot of skills.
Right.
Which, in cases like me, I was like, you know what? I would do the 7 8 passes and
8
just flip, flip,
passes.
flip. Yeah, we
Wow.
had
I
like
guess
8 passes.
I was living under a rock because in my brain I thought it was 6. 6 was the top, and I didn't realize you could do more than that.
Oh, most definitely. There was really no limit.
Wow.
Sometimes I remember doing 8 passes, 7 passes because, I took out connection bonus. And so instead of doing a 2.5 punch front full, I would just do that 2.5 and then add that full in its own
Somewhere
separate
else.
pass. So that's
Right.
just an example of like some of the things that guys, male gymnasts would do, but
Okay.
I don't miss those days.
I think that is a great perspective because for teams like we see today, some will play the risque game and will do 3 passes. And they don't have to compensate, if you will, with harder leaps. So what would have been for you maybe a different acro series, for us has to do with the leaps, and that can create a lot of challenges also, because if you're not meeting the lines, if you're not like twisting all the way around, that's also deductions, and you can challenge the requirement groups that we were talking about. But yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Ooh, and that was a beautiful combination on the balance beam. A front, excuse me, a side area to a side semi.
We don't see side semis a lot in college. I think it's a really beautiful skill, especially when done appropriately. Wow, that leap series was great. Those ring leaps are expected to exceed. You need to be able to see your own foot, and she passed that, no problems. Beautiful routine.
Fisk may be putting the pressure on Greenville in this third
I was
rotation.
about to say. But Greenville is like going all in on bars, so it's really just who wants it more at this point. I'm at the edge of my seat, you guys. Like, this is so stressful. No falls yet.
It just may come down to the last rotation where balance beam in many competitions is the deciding factor and who comes out on top. So it's going to be interesting in the final rotation when Greenville has the balance beam and Fisk has the floor exercise.
Right. I'm thinking about that celebration Greenville had just a second ago, where she kind of did like a KO WWE style move on the mat. I have seen that across the board through the NCAA, and I find it so incredibly funny. Even on Elite Gymnastics, I have seen it, and it's so funny.
I love seeing the celebrations from these gymnasts when they hit big routines. It's like when football players do their little touchdown celebrations.
Yes, and they're like,
You know,
hey.
on the gymnastics side, we might do a little slam on the mats, I guess.
But it's just funny. It's just like a character check almost. Like, you can tell this athlete has been working so hard for that routine. It prompts her for the perfect celebration. They fully justified. I believe this is a fourth athlete to come on the beam for Fisk. Miss A. Reed Hammond. Beautiful. Stunning acro series. Also very, very difficult, coming from a back handspring to a swing into a side aerial. Great control. Beautiful, incredible routine by this young lady. I don't think she had quite any movements on the beam. So we'll see what that scores. Also, let me just tell you, I really do love when athletes are able to wear their hair down. I think it gives a flair and attitude to them that is not necessarily like something you can train or teach.
And that was a fun floor exercise for Wilberforce.
I saw over here on bars um, that Emma Brannon, she did have some mistakes over there, but like we were mentioning before and emphasizing on, is that this is a score they're able to drop. They have not missed thus far. So this is probably that score that they're going to want to dismiss moving into beam.
That was a beautiful balance beam connection.
Some of these beam routines, in order to be safe, they're going to be on the shorter end. So you're going to see some of these routines have like 3 or 4 skills, 1 or 2 of them being a combination of leaps, to be able to be like an in and out situation. You get on the beam, you do your stuff, you get out as quickly as you can. You know, and taking the conversation back to Wilberforce, not Wilberforce's, Fisk's and Greenville's competition right now for the lead. Greenville had a mistake on bars, and there was a mistake on Fisk. So we're kind of on an even playing ground right now. All right, let's see what they bring to the table. Another ganger. That's the second ganger I've seen today that was fully extended. Fight for that bail. This is it. Double tuck. On her feet, you guys. On her feet. That's all they needed. Awesome work.
Greenville had put up a good rotation on the bars, making it potentially even harder for Fisk to overtake them in that final rotation.
We should be able to see that bigger on the screen here in just a second, so we can discuss the scores. But it's all looking, you know, the perception of how it's looking, it's pretty much how it is on paper also. I don't think we have had many discrepancies in terms of how the scores have come and played out, because in my opinion, I believe it has been pretty spot on to what we have seen. So let's go with Fisk at 46-7. And you have Greenville waiting on a score, so we'll get that to the end of it. But Centenary with a 46-575 on floor. Like, of course, this is a showmanship kind of event. And then you have Wilberforce with a 45-7. And then Greenville, just waiting on it. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be above an 8. So we could potentially see a better score than a 42-7 or whatever that score was. But third rotation, probably the best rotation of this competition with the highest scores. So that means the judges are also adjusting, that they're getting into the tune of the work that these athletes are presenting, and we potentially might see some really good scores in this rotation, fourth and final rotation. So it looks like, from what I can see over here, Centenary is going to be on vault. Greenville is going to be on beam. Wilberforce will be on bars. And Fisk will close out the show on floor. They have followed the Olympic order of events the entire meet. Hence, the scores have been pretty accurate in that sense. Like, it makes sense that their second rotation wasn't necessarily the best one, but scores are going statistically up. And so I am very curious to see what they bring to the table on floor. We're waiting here for the warm-up period to begin. You see people jumping around the corners. It's pretty standard for how you would want to warm up in these situations. What has been your favorite part of this meet so far, Paris?
Besides the energy that I've been seeing from these gymnasts, that is just such a big light. I think it's just the bounce back. Seeing these gymnasts go out there and to be able to bounce back from mistakes again. It is still very early in the season, so to see them just simply get better each and every rotation, that has been honestly my favorite part of this whole competition.
I have
What
to
about you,
agree with
Andrea?
you. I have to agree with you on that. Aside from that, to not repeat what you just said, I think also the diversity of skills that we have seen today. I think it shows that these teams are putting in the work. It shows me and everybody who's watching that they really want it, and that their NQSs for the 2025 season, it's only a mark to be beat, and they're gonna rise above it. And I really like to see these teams just recruit more depth and like dare to do harder skills that you don't necessarily see in other competitions across NCAA. We have the scores for the previous rotation, which takes Greenville to a 44.575 that we were talking about. So then, for the third rotation, Wilberforce and Centenary, geared up pretty much and truly put on performances that got them to better scores. So
It's going to be a tight race in this last rotation for who comes out on top. It looks like Wilberforce has about, it looks like that Greenville has about a point over Fisk. Fisk is almost 2 points over Centenary. And then Wilberforce with the 128.7. So this last rotation is going to be quite the fight between Greenville and Fisk. If Greenville stays on the balance beam, they will take this competition. But if not, Fisk will be right there to take the title if they finish with a strong full rotation.
And to be completely honest, I think I'll take it back. That's my favorite part of this competition. Everybody is so close together in talent and in score that it makes the dynamic even better. So I really, aside from all the things that we just mentioned, I think that has got to be my favorite part of competitions like this one. I think even as a gymnast, I will say that, like, I don't know that I enjoyed competitions where it was almost like a given who was in the lead. Um, I really did enjoy competitions where it was anyone's game, and it's just throw it all out there, and we'll see who'll take the winning prize. And I think those were the most intense and the most fun competitions I was ever a part of, for sure.
Absolutely, without a doubt. That's the whole thrill of competing, of coming together with your team, really executing your routines to come out on top. That's the whole thrill of it, especially knowing that there's other great teams that are just as good as yours. I mean, on any given day, it could be
Hmm.
any given team. And I think
Yeah.
that's the special part of this competition is that, as you said, all these teams are talented and they're so close in talent. Where on any given day, it can be any one of these four teams on top.
Hmm. That's the gamble of gymnastics, especially when it's done well, like today. I think this was a good put together event. Right, it looks like we're in the last 30, 45 seconds of this warm up. I have seen some out of bounds short landings, a little bit of slips on bars, and out of frame powerhouses here. I I think that for you to be flying out of bounds or just having that much power in your warm up, I'm excited for what's to come when it's showtime, especially at the end of the meet. The official 10 countdown, which I will say is very useful. I don't think we ever had that. We just had a big clock going and then the horn went off. But I like that this event has that person that's announcing when time is up. All right, it's go time, baby. Miss Carter on beam for Greenville. Pretty much at the end of the meet right now, Greenville is just looking to stay on the equipment. That's all I gotta do. It doesn't have to be pretty. You just gotta stay on.
And if they stay on, this competition can be theirs, but it's going to be, as you said, a matter of staying on. And the balance beam is only 4 inches, arguably the hardest event in women's college gymnastics and women's gymnastics across the board.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, that bead jump is, it might seem silly, but it's the savior of so many connections in the NCAA. It's so simple, and it just ties everything together for you to have to avoid harder skills. Just add a bead jump. All right, one down, four more to go. Centenary. We saw 9-4, I believe it was a Jurchenko layout. She had a little bit of a step back, too much power. Hopefully she's working on potentially twisting. but good takeoff from the vault table. First floor routine underway, starting with Reed Hammond. And another clever floor music.
Fisk is going to need some strong floor routines in this final rotation.
Mind you, what I said about staying on the equipment for beam athletes also goes for floor. However, on floor, you're looking to minimizing the steps in different directions. Make sure to stay in bounds, but minimizing the steps is going to be a leveled playing field with Greenville staying on the equipment. Good starting routine. Solid. She just had a couple steps that is going to cost her in the first pass. But other than that, her leaps were good. It was engaging. It was pretty. So we'll see.
Centenary has been putting up some very clean vaults. That was another clean Yurchenko that we saw from Centenary, who also too can be in this competition as well. They were only
Right.
about a point and a half, 2 points behind Fisk, but at the same time, as you said, anything can happen.
It's anyone's game at this point. I'm wanting for Wilberforce to be able to start on bars, so they can get this rotation, over with. If I had to bet anything about the beam judges right now, they're arguing over that B jump. Wilberforce with a swing back. I like that. I really do like that. More toe-ons. Sad that she didn't land that, but very, very intricate routine. Second up for Fisk. 1.5 to punch the layout. A little bit outside of bounds. Miss Liberty Mora. Let me tell you, Fisk is doing great with these floor musics. So fun.
Fisk has always had some of the best music across the board
Agreed.
in college gymnastics.
Agreed. Good balance check over there on beam. Madison Carter. My mistake, that's not Madison, that's Isabella. And let's put this into perspective. We see a 9025 over here for vault and for Centenary on vault. She had a little bit of a mistake, the way she touched the ground. And I think they counted as a fall, so she had a 9025. If she wouldn't have fallen, that's 5/10 that you could add to that final score. That would have been a 9525. So that's the kind of depth that these teams have. And I mention that because it's important to know that these are growing scores that they can go up from. So just keep that in mind for the rest of the season. Oh my gosh, that's where that's where the TikTok brain rot comes from. I did not realize that.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. All I've seen is the trend where the kids ask the parents to read the brain rot, and I was like, where are these brain rots coming from? Oh, there we go. The internet, it's a vast and deep place. All right, the famous pause. This is the famous theme of this competition. What is going on, judges? Dance party, okay? $935. Good score. Alrighty. I believe this is a fourth gymnast for Fisk on floor. Allie Berkeley. Centenary going all out on vault, let me tell you that.
Yeah, that was another nice vault from Centenary. Tuck your chankle full this time around. Step on that landing, but strong nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. Miss Aubrey on beam for Greenville. Have you ever thought about judging gymnastics, Paris?
I have, of course, it comes across every gymnast's mind.
Fair. I would have tried if it didn't take me 10 years to actually read through the code of points, but that's a fight for another day.
That was another good routine from Greenville.
Oh, everybody's so excited.
Out in this competition.
Oh my goodness. Wait, was that the last one?
I think there may be another routine to come.
Oh my lordy, this is literally a head scratcher. That's my jam, right there. So it looks like Centenary done with a 182.5 tentative score. Only athletes that have more to come so far is Wilberforce on bars, because I don't believe more than 2 athletes have gone on the event yet. $9,575 for Miss Aubrey for Greenville. Now Isabella Feltman is on for Greenville on beam. Allie Berkeley for Fisk had an 8.525. You can see the athletes for Greenville like jumping in anticipation. I'm holding my breath if I'm being completely honest. You guys, this is tense. He'll fall there for Wilberforce on bars. And Ms. Roseby is up for Fisk on floor. Front double
beautiful open pass.
That's an E pass right there. 1.5 to a step. Oh my goodness. This is a great close for Greenville. Oh. Woo! This is exciting.
I actually think mathematically, no matter what happens with the next Greenville routines, that they actually might win this competition today.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is just awesome for them. I think they've only had one other competition so far. Let me look it up really quickly. Yes, so Greenville has had one other competition this year, and they scored a 184.70. Which I'm pretty sure they're going to succeed today. I want to say this is going to be one of those back entries on beam where they like mount on a flip, maybe? Because that springboard is like sitting a little too far away from the beam for it to be a leap. I think this also talks about how interesting it is to watch gymnastics at the very beginning of the season, because you never know what to expect. At this point, it has all been a secret of preseason. They don't necessarily record much, they don't post much, and so when you see it like unfold, it's so exciting.
Oh, and a beautiful combination on the balance beam. Fights to stay on.
Wow, beautiful display of flexibility right there. Ooh, that's it. Good job. I am genuinely glad that Greenville was able to close out their second competition of the season on beam on a good note. I think we have one more athlete maybe, but still, that's what I'm talking about. It's like exceptional work so far. Wilberforce going on to their third athlete on bars.
Oh, and
Have a difficult situation there. Yeah.
a little shot over on that release move. That's the risk sometimes when you're really going for that handstand. Sometimes you either get it perfectly or, you shoot it a little over and it causes you to have to come off the bars.
Usually you're just trying to aim for the perfect angle where you're like on top of your shoulders and you just overestimate it, and that's always a shame, but at least that tells you she is capable. If anything, it tells you that she's absolutely capable of doing this bail up to a perfect handstand and a stuck dismount on top of all that. So
Beautiful dismount. Sky high, perfect tuck position, perfectly finds that landing, and a great rebound finish.
yeah, I will say Wilberforce has had the misfortune of having to wait the entirety of this rotation for God knows what. But it's being able to perform like that after such a long wait, an overextended wait, admirable to say the least. Oh, Greenville, you're doing so great. Wow. This has to be my favorite floor music so far.
Oh, and another nice combination on the balance beam, that aerial to side semi.
I love when those side semis are very airy and flowy. Like it's not kind of like closer to the beam like a side aerial would. I think it makes the element look so like delicate, if you will, even though it's an element that has to do with bent knees. Usually, bent knees for women's gym is not necessarily the go to because it looks like the skill itself looks a little smaller, but that's not the case with side semis. Paris, that's another hit routine. by Greenville. This is getting crazy now.
They are really putting it on in this final rotation. And this is a momentum that we talked about earlier, is being able to turn the page from the past mistakes that you may have made earlier in the competition to really just build momentum and do the routines in competition that you do all the time in the gym.
This definitely has to be top moments of this competition is probably them coming back around and saying, all right, we're going to do this and we're going to do it like the best we can. And that involves staying in the equipment. Not only staying in the equipment, half of the things they did were without like balance checks or little mistakes, you know? So it just, I'm very excited for them. And we have Fisk just waiting to showcase their last few athletes, and this kind of wraps up the invitational. Paris, I have a fashion question for you. You are very well versed in fashion.
Well, thank you.
Um, I have noticed that some of the coaches are wearing very, very intricate outfits. Do you think that's a newfound trend in NCAA sports? I've seen it in basketball and other sports, but gymnastics is kind of picking up the pace.
I do, and I love it, honestly. I don't I don't think as a coach you need to go out there wearing a jumpsuit and warm ups. I think it's perfectly fine to, showcase and show pride in your athletes, as much as you can. And with fashion, I mean, that's one of the biggest ways we can do that. So I love when these coaches go out there and wear jazzy stuff, fashionable stuff, because it speaks more than just themselves and speaks more, even more about the program.
Right, and I think you answered indirectly my question. The question I didn't ask was, do you think this speaks of the program? And yes, absolutely. And I'm glad that you kind of came to that conclusion because wow, I really do agree with you. And this was a great routine for Fisk. And you guys, I think this is all we've got for today. This was an insane competition. This last rotation was hectic for sure. I think we see Wilberforce over there in the back still performing. Um, she's just recovering from a mistake. I think she had a slip on the coming of her pack salto. Um, those are just unfortunate kind of situations at that. Getting ready for a dismount. Stuck landing. Those are always so rewarding. Good job. personally really love Wilberforce. You can see how these young women are just having the time of their lives. They've had to wait over 15 minutes at this point for this rotation to even start. They've had mistakes, probably not their dream situation, obviously, and you literally see them like set up the bar, dance around, have fun. They're smiling, giggling, and like running around like little kids would. And I think that just stands for what these girls are made of, honestly. Like, they're just having the time of their lives right now, no matter what.
It speaks to their team camaraderie, which is such an important factor, especially in college gymnastics.
At the time of like raising your hand to start a routine, did you ever experience like a rush in like the inside of your body where it was like, oh my god?
Sometimes, but I really had to. Oh, that was a beautiful pat salto release.
Mm-hmm.
I really had to learn how to keep my pulse, my heart down,
Mm-hmm.
especially on the vault where I pace my sets for my Yurchenko. I couldn't overdo it because if I did, oh, and such a unique dismount. It's very,
That was
very rare to
great.
see.
Those twisting dismounts are
Oh, that was
insanity.
gorgeous. And,
Wow.
obviously the double flip off the bars is hard, but to me, to single flip and twist, that's even harder because you need a special type of technique in order to really execute
Mm-hmm.
a dismount like that. And she does it so well.
Absolutely. I saw that on the warm up and I was like, ooh, that's the only one of those we've seen today. Is that a wrap? I think so. Yep, it looks like this is it. Paris, do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with us, with me, the audience, about today's competition?
I mean, it's the sky's the limit for these teams. All of these teams really came out here and showed so much potential. And I'm just excited to see where they land as we get closer to postseason and championship season.
Yeah, I think in the world I'm involved in, the phrase of the week has been, this is just the tip of the iceberg, and that is fully applicable to today's performances. So let's take a look here. Fisk ended up with a 46.35. Centenary with a 46.875. Wilberforce with a 39 so far. And Greenville with a 47.175. We're going to go a little bit into what each event may have looked like. So 1 second here. For vault, we had a couple of 9.55s, with a starting difficulty of 9.9s. Those are the kind of vaults that we were talking about. And the takers of the first place in a tie are from Fisk University and Greenville, Ellie Berkeley and Amara Nelson. Great job to these athletes. For bars, we had another tie between Wilberforce University and Greenville, with both scoring 9.250. Sydney Smith for Wilberforce and Amara Nelson for Greenville. Also great performances in bars. I feel like today bars was not necessarily the event of the day. Everybody had their mistakes. Everybody had their mishaps. We saw that all the way to the end with Wilberforce. What do you think?
Absolutely. And it's so amazing to see just how things have played out in the competition.
I agree. For Beam, we have Miss Reed Hammond that I was talking about earlier from Fisk University with a 9725. She's a winner for this event, followed by a young lady from Greenville University with a 965. Again, really, really tight differences from one university and the other, but they were really, really hard for these scores. And even if you see like the rest of the scoreboard there, it was mostly Greenville and Fisk University. Both had really good days on beam. For floor, the winner is going to be Ellery Gilmer from Greenville University with a 9725. Even though Fisk University and Centenary had insane performances out on floor, Miss Gilmer takes the winning prize there. For the all-around, only 3 athletes completed the all-around. The winner is Amara Nelson from Greenville University with a 38.025. Ms. Roseby from Fisk University with a 36.550. And Miss Washington from Centenary College with a 34.350. I think anything above a 37, honestly, is an insane score for an all-around. That means that you're putting up above 9.7s every time.
And to throw up a big score like a 38.025 this early in the season, that is pretty huge, a big accomplishment.
Yeah, so for the final scores and the team totals, we're going to have the winners of tonight is Greenville University with a 185.9. Then you have Fisk following it with a 184.025. You have Centenary with a 182.5, and Wilberforce getting into a 169.850. I think today was a great day for gymnastics, and honestly, I'm just excited for what's to come the rest of the season. Do you have anything else for tonight, Paris, before we wrap today's invitational?
Nothing else but to say to keep a close watch on these teams because they are only going to get bigger and better as we get later in the season.
I agree with you, and I am so happy that we got to do this together today. Well, everybody, that's all we've got for tonight. We hope to see you on the next one. On behalf of myself and Paris McGee, we wish you a good evening.
chicken, why she texting me? Why she keep calling my phone, speaking sexually? Every time I'm out, why she stressing me? You call her Stephanie, I call her Effany. I don't open doors for her. I just want the neck, nothing more. Shorty make it clap, make it a pro. When you tired of your man, give me a call. Like, cooking up a job.
Wilberforce, let me get a picture of y'all.
It's not to have a calling for the Lord. They ain't getting 20, so
All right, we're ready for the singing ceremony. We at Fisk recognize the singers from all the teams. First, Centenary, Claire Flores. Amy Fourier. And Olivia Speckman. For Greenville, Faith Jones. Ellery Milner. Reagan Rodriguez. Amara Nelson. Madison Carter. Madison Ford. And Alyssa Russo. For Wilberforce, senior Danielle Jackson. And now we ask that Uncle Frank Simmons, head to the mat as we recognize the Fisk University seniors. A senior from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Aaliyah Reed Hammond. A senior from McKinney, Texas, Lyric Mora. A senior from Atlanta, Georgia, Zach Coleman. A senior from Mississippi, Alec Buckley. And a senior from Houston, Texas, Jordan Cromartie. And now, in the Henderson Jackson Arena, we will be having the banners for the All-Americans going to be on the wall after the summer. First up, we'd like to present the banner for being an All-American to Zaya Coleman. Next one, All-American, Liberty Mora. Next up, Aaliyah Reed Hammond. All-American, Allie Bertley. Junior, Sanaya Wasby. Graduate, Haley McDonald. And finally, Jada Reese. At this time, we ask that Marshall Price come to the center as we present the banner for Morgan Price. The Taylor family for their contributions for the banners that be hung in the Hillside Jackson Arena. And now, a few words from Centenary Liberty Forum. We also have one more American, her freshman year, Kiara Richmond. Once again, we'd like to thank you for coming out to the Fairgrounds Nashville. We thank you for all the sponsors that sponsor today's meet. And for you, the fans, to come out. Let's hear it from the fans. Centenary. And now, let's hear from Greenville. Where my dogs at from Wilberforce. And finally, get on your feet and put your fist jam. Your Fisk University back in action this weekend when they travel to the Windy City for the Windy City Classic. We're just waiting for the official scores for us to announce the scoring from today's meetings.
like the Bible if God watching. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show. Certified money man, the one that up the score. Up and down, whole time, I know he got some horn. Hold on, next up, what you got for? Say Drake, I hate you like I'm young. You better not ever go to sell black one. You hear me, the talk tone and name love. Just make sure you have your little sister phone.
In fourth place with the score of 169.85, the Wilberforce Bulldogs. In third place with this unofficial score of 182.5, Centenary. In third place with an unofficial score of 184.025, your Fisk University. And in first place with an unofficial score of 185.9, Greenville. Once again, we thank you for coming out. And remember that the Fisk Bulldogs will be in action this Friday at the Window